We're going to be talking about a few teams that might be looking a little different heading into next year when it comes to the quarterback position.
Oh my goodness, there's not one, but there are two. Say the New York Jets should go get Derek Carr.
By the time the 2023 season kicks off, we have a strong suspicion that these 10 NFL teams will have different starters than they did in 2022. The Las Vegas Raiders are as much of a lock as humanly possible to have a new QB next season. They've basically packed up all of Derek Carr's bags and bought him a one-way plane ticket out of town already. Thanks for the memories, Mark Davis shouted as he kicked the man who has started damn near every game for them since 2014 to the curb at Harry Reid International.
So that's it after 20 years. So long, good luck?
I don't recall saying good luck.
I mean, that was pretty much the sentiment when Davis and presumably first-year coach Josh McDaniels made the decision to bench Carr with 2 games remaining in the season to see, I suppose, what they had in Jarrett Stidham. None of us are happy with where we're at, but we think it's an opportunity to evaluate a younger player who hasn't had much time to play, McDaniels said at the time. Derek was great. He understands the scenario that we're in and the situation and is very supportive of the 2 young guys. He'll do anything he can to help them. Now, Derek, to his credit, was gracious and stepped aside peacefully. To the surprise of many, Stidham, well, actually looked pretty solid during his showcase, though not enough to guarantee himself a job in 2023. That still is not a definite. But one thing that is definite is that Carr will not be a member of the Raiders in 2023. Whether he's replaced by Tom Brady, like the media has speculated ad nauseum, well, that remains to be seen. But there will most certainly be a change in Vegas next season. While there are some differences, the Tennessee Titans quarterback situation is probably the most similar to what is playing out in Sin City. Mike Vrabel has a veteran quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, who, despite having proved at this point that he is a legitimate starting quarterback in the league, has also shown that there's a ceiling to what a team can accomplish with him under center. The Titans also have a young guy in Malik Willis who, unfortunately for Tennessee, didn't quite show the flashes that Stidham did last year. Now, in fairness to Willis, he was a rookie this season, meanwhile Stidham was in year 3. But the point remains that upon looking back on the 2022 season that was, it seems extremely likely that the Titans will have a new starting quarterback next year. Tannehill has unfortunately shown the Titans brass how severe his limitations are too many times at this point. The honeymoon is over, and both sides have to realize that they've made a mistake going all in, particularly from the team's perspective. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a push for Derek Carr or one of the other names on the short list of veteran QBs available to try and capitalize on as what they see, I'm sure, as a win-now roster. In fairness to Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill, their partnership honestly went way better and for way longer than anyone could have expected based off his time in Miami. So much so that it has even inspired some other organizations to try and replicate their success with a retread quarterback in hopes to revitalize their career in a new city, like the Washington Commanders and the Indianapolis Colts. 2 organizations that recently tried their luck with Carson Wentz, a guy who is quickly becoming synonymous with disappointment at the quarterback position. Unfortunately for the Colts, Carson was not able to regain his form in 2021, and neither was Matt Ryan in 2022. The Colts ended up sending Wentz to DC, where his struggles only escalated, and now both teams find themselves in dire need of new quarterbacks. Again, Washington has a young, talented roster top to bottom with a solid defense built around guys like Chase Young and Montez Sweat, not to mention one of the top wide receivers in the league in Terry McLaurin. I mean, this is a team that was able to compete for a playoff bid this past season, despite having traversed the season with the 3-headed monster of Carson Wentz, Taylor Heineke, and Sam Howell at quarterback. With that kind of talent around the rest of the roster and the potential that the team has if it can resolve its need at the quarterback position, it's no shock that they need to be looking for a signal caller in 2023 that can get them over the hump and back into contention. As far as Indianapolis is concerned, well, they on the other hand are a lot further off than I think they, or really even most experts, thought heading into the 2022 season. It feels like the world has been working off an old narrative ever since Andrew Luck retired, which at this point took place 4 years ago. No longer are the Colts just a quarterback away. The offensive line has aged fast and very poorly. And their interim coaching decision to bring in Jeff Saturday might have ultimately been a setback for the organization. The Colts now need to build from the ground up and use their draft capital to find whatever rookie quarterback they believe to be the answer to their problems at the position. Regardless of who they or Washington choose, both teams will definitely have a new QB under center in 2023. As will Indy's divisional neighbors, the Houston Texans. Now, if you want to talk about a team that's in a tough spot at the position, well, look no further than the Texans, because this is legitimately one of the more depressing tales I've seen. It took the franchise like 25 years to get a half-decent quarterback. They battled through the likes of David Carr, Tom Savage, Ryan Mallett. Let me tell you, the list of terrible Texans quarterbacks just goes on. And after finally finding some success with Deshaun Watson, their relationship with the QB and his career blew up in a truly unprecedented and unfixable way. So now the Texans are back to zero and find themselves in need of replacing Davis Mills, who started the bulk of the games for Houston over the past 2 seasons without too much success. During this stretch of time, Mills is 5-19-1 as a starter. So obviously, Houston needs to find itself a new quarterback in 2023. And they, like Indy, will likely try to do so in the draft. And they're in a pretty good position to do so, considering they hold the 2nd overall pick. So maybe it'll be CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, or maybe they'll trade back for additional picks and take Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. All I know is, as long as everything goes to plan, we will not see any more Davis Mills under center in Houston. At least Houston is moving on from a guy they only invested a 3rd rounder in. They could be like the New York Jets or the New England Patriots. These two teams invested pretty heavily in their 2022 starting quarterbacks, with the Jets having used the 2nd overall pick and the Pats having used the 15th pick in the 2021 draft. And now both teams look like they are surefire bets to have new starting quarterbacks in 2023. Jones, to his credit, at least had a solid rookie year before regressing last year under Matt Patricia's tutelage. The Zach Wilson experience in New York has been an unmitigated disaster up until this point. And that being said, the end result is the same in both cases. Both of these AFC East teams have found themselves needing a new starter, and they may very well be competing for the same type of guys, like, for example, Derek Carr, a proven vet who they believe will be able to come in and help them compete with what they believe to be win-now rosters. And while that all sounds good, only one team can acquire Carr, and there is no guarantee that it will be the New York Jets or the New England Patriots either. The market for the former Raiders quarterback should be pretty hot, regardless of whatever misgivings the public seems to have about him. Either way, there will be some fresh faces under center in the AFC East next season, as New England and New York try to unseat Buffalo atop the division. Heading south, the Carolina Panthers are a team that looks destined for a new starting quarterback of their own in 2023. And interestingly, Carolina's current state of affairs is actually somewhat tied to the Jets, considering the two made a deal that sent Sam Darnold, the Jets' former number 3 overall pick, to Carolina back in 2021 in exchange for a 6th-round pick, and a 2nd and 4th the following season. Darnold, well, let's just say things didn't start out too hot for him in Charlotte. After starting the 2021 season with 3 straight wins against the Jets, Saints, and Houstons, 3 teams that would ultimately prove to be among the worst in the league that season, Darnold's play tanked, and so did the Panthers' season. The team would go on to lose 4 straight and ultimately 7 of 8 before the Panthers decided that they'd seen enough of the young quarterback. This led to a rather disappointing reunion with Cam Newton and one start from PJ Walker before the Panthers decided to gamble on another top pick who had flamed out in Baker Mayfield. Baker really struggled in 2022 as a Panther, though. He went 1-5 in 6 starts, never really settling into the offense, it seemed, before a combination of injuries and straight-up lack of performance ultimately pushed the Panthers to move on from Mayfield. In a somewhat shocking turn of events, Darnold actually looked good coming in at the end of the 2022 season, winning 4 of his 6 starts and limiting the turnovers that had become his calling card as a starter. But I still don't think the Panthers brass has much faith that he'll be the guy to turn their struggling franchise around. Holding the 9th overall pick, the Panthers are in a good but not great position to try and grab a blue-chip quarterback out of this year's draft. So I would not be shocked to see them try and get in on the Derek Carr sweepstakes themselves. And if that doesn't work out, they can always make an offer for Zach Wilson. I mean, the Panthers love a good fixer-upper, even if it never really seems to work out for them. A fellow NFC South member, the New Orleans Saints, will also find itself with a new starting QB this year. New Orleans and Jameis Winston look destined for a divorce after the bizarre turn of events that took place following his injury. And, well, let's face it, I don't know that you could really even call Andy Dalton their starting quarterback. To me, he was just the guy they trotted out there this year while they desperately tried to pick up the pieces following the conclusion of the Drew Brees era. Without a first-round pick, New Orleans is far from the pole position in terms of finding a top-flight rookie to bring in. And knowing how their GM, Mickey Loomis, likes to operate, I wouldn't be shocked to see them take a big swing and try to bring Tom Brady into town, and perhaps rehire Sean Payton, or maybe even his old backup, Jimmy Garoppolo, who will likely be out of San Fran. Either way, the Saints will definitely have a new QB under center this season. Last but not least, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's face it, even though they won the division in 2022, this was not a fun season for Tampa, or for Tom Brady. In addition to his all-too-public divorce, Brady struggled this season. At least, in comparison to the high standard he set for himself. And a lot of that was due to an offensive line that appeared to be stitched together with scotch tape and glue. TB12 is going to be a free agent this offseason, and I don't think that anyone would be surprised if he said, "Thanks for the memories," and jumped down. And that would tee the Bucs up for a visit to the quarterback market. Maybe they'll roll the dice with former second-round pick Kyle Trask, possibly have him compete against a rookie they take on a flyer in the second or third round of this year's draft. Either way, we totally expect Brady to be out as quarterback down in Tampa. But which other NFL teams will be trotting out new quarterbacks for 2023? Was there anyone that we missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.